easy to overreact.
Oh,
first it was one period. It's early, but man, this looks really good. And then 2 periods, man, this really looks good. And now it's one game, and it's easy to overreact. But I was watching along on social media tonight. There's a lot of people that feel that maybe that first period tonight was the best period they've seen all year, that this is one of the most impressive games from the Flames that they've seen all season. And you know what? It's free. It's free of charge. You can overreact all you'd like, but that's
I don't want to be too strong,
up to you.
But the rebuild's over, right? Like,
yeah,
they found their sniper. They got another first. They got 2 firsts now.
I don't know what Treliving was waiting for.
Honzek slides in. Like, the rebuild's over. Yeah. This team is back into its contention window, and this is why you don't need to tear it down for 10 years. All it took was a week.
Can Conroy win the GM of the Year award on 2 trades? Is that how that works? And the waiver claim looks like it was a hell of a waiver claim.
I like the waiver
Greer
claim.
One was good. Conroy just rolling tonight. The Calgary Flames, welcome to Afterburner. We're here live at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Atop the stage bar.
It's true.
4-1 Flames win it in Boston. Did not have that one on the bingo card for sure. But there it is. There it is. We both had the Kuzmenko anytime goal on the Betway Bets on Barnburner today. It just felt like one of those new guys going to come in, and it didn't take very long, about 5 minutes.
420, an auspicious number.
For some of us, yes. For some of us more than others.
I can't speak to Kuznetsov habits. I don't know if there's a special time for fun guys or not, but look at that. Out of the holster. Jack had it ready.
There it is.
And the Boston boy coming home. The mass product putting up some points against his old club. Soft goal. They still count.
Yeah, it was not Boston's night.
Sure wasn't.
But that's the thing, and we've talked about that you start to go through, this is a win, this is a loss. You can't necessarily count on what the other team's doing.
No.
It's the first game back for both teams. And there's a little bit of energy, obviously, for the Flames. And there wasn't – I love that the Bruins get booed. There is something about those American fan bases that are awesome. But
and by awesome, you mean like, hey, you just had the greatest regular season in the history of the league last year.
Yeah.
You deleted your top 2 centers and are tied for first place as we enter play tonight. Boo!
Boo. Yeah, definitely boo.
That's what you mean by awesome.
So, it's kind of the story of the game. Andrei Kuzmenko, his first night as a Flame. We saw so Sharangovich is going to go to the middle.
Yeah,
feels maybe a little clunky. Huberdeau and then Kuzmenko. And it did not take long. Somebody had sent me a message saying, Huberdeau's shown more chemistry with Kuzmenko in 20-40 minutes than he did in a year and a half with Elias Lindholm.
Totally fair. And different players, like winger center, defensively strong, pure sniper. Hubie speaks high skill, and that's what he's got with his 2 line mates right now. I don't know that Sharangovich is a center in the NHL, but if he can masquerade as one for a few months, that line looks deadly. And I was jokingly calling it the all gas, no brakes line. I'm sticking with it because it's not the no gas, no brakes. It is all gas. And they showed the gas tonight. There'll be other nights where they have some tough times in their own zone, but those are 3 of your most offensively gifted players all on the same line.
And it's because it's a post-game show. We do it after every game, so all we have to react to is this game. But again, I agree as well. There was a little bit of something there, whether it's because they're thinking it, whether it's because the opportunities were there, but it was going both ways. Kuzmenko found Huberdeau on a couple of occasions.
The first chance of the game, right? In the slot.
Take the shot. So, hey, it's exciting if you're a Flames fan. And Elias Lindholm, he goes to Vancouver. He gets a couple tonight, so it's a great hockey trade.
It is a good hockey trade
for everybody. Yeah. But it is exciting to think.
Well, Brstevich is going to be up too because the rebuild's over. He's going to be in next year running.
But it does. I said it is okay. So now what else do you get? Do you get more picks? Do you get more players? There's more trades to be made. There was a raft of scouts in Boston watching this game tonight for whatever that matters.
Multiple teams with multiple scouts.
Lots. It's because it's on now. A lot of those teams would have had some meetings over the All-Star break. Here's what our strategy is going to be. Here's some players we're identifying.
Yep.
Now let's go out and go to work and see these guys in person. So there was a ton of scouts at that game tonight.
Can you ever have too many D?
Not for playoff-bound teams.
No.
Sure.
And so if you're a contender and there's one team that have maybe the best 2 defensemen on the market that are going to get moved, I mean, Get some bloody scouts there. Take 2. Give me all your scouts. Go. Like, this is the Flames have some cards here. They really do.
Hanifin scores, and it
Made some plays.
if you're in camp, re-sign Noah Hanifin, then you have a little bit of fuel for your fire. And if you're on the other side, definitely trade him. Then he's the one guy. Elias Lindholm did not have a very good offensive year. That deal is done. I think Tanev, if he remains healthy, that's going to be an easy enough deal to get done. How do you treat? Tried to make a play and got it.
And if you watch it again, if we can, Jack, what we can skate every shift. That's what you're selling here. That's an elite, huge minute munching, excellent skating defenseman.
Yeah. He's the one guy I'm very intrigued to see what the decision is going to be.
Well, and I do think it's his. I really do.
Yeah. It may come down to, for Craig, what kind of offers there are. If it's not worth trading him, do you then revert back to trying to get him signed? I don't know. And I don't even know. We kind of had an idea what the Lindholm package was going to be. You want your first, your player, that sort of thing. I don't imagine the price can be the same for Hanifin as it was for Lindholm.
I keep coming back to a first and 2 seconds because we've seen it so many times. We saw it for Hamonic, who had a little bit of term. We saw it with Hampus Lindholm, who was an expiring UFA and immediately re-upped in Boston, and you saw him tonight. It's sort of that second pair, but important player. First and 2 seconds has been a currency we've seen all over the place. I would call that maybe the high end of it, but it's what he should be asking for. And if you have to take a little less, sure, but don't ask low and then say, well, there it is. Well, I actually want more now. Like, if you could get a first and 2 seconds, would you be happy?
Yeah, I think
that's a lot. That's a lot of assets.
It's an expiring contract.
For what let's call it 32 games of Noah Hanifin.
You do miss what he's got.
There's no question
moving forward.
But the reasons you want to re-sign him are the reasons he's worth a lot. It is not like battling forces. Everyone that says trade him and that says keep him, they're agreeing on a lot. They're saying he's valuable.
Yeah.
It's just that, is he valuable in trade or is he valuable to this roster for the next 8 years? It could be either.
Quite a night for Nazem Kadri, a 3-helper night, and looked good. The assist that he had on the Zari goal was just a tremendous play. He was all over it tonight, and I took a look there. Now, we were so hard on this guy near the tail end of last season because he had obviously did not like the coach, had given up on the season, was kind of giving up on the team. It was easy to kind of point and say, what the hell is with this guy?
Yep.
But this play here, going back against the flow, and it's right on the tape.
Spots him.
Now, the defender probably
the poise there is nice.
Yeah.
And again, the Bruins didn't show well tonight. If that's the only viewing you've had of the Bruins, how is that team in first place? I'm sorry. The goaltending was not great. Too sloppy defensively. We've shown 2 now goals. Both of them, you're like, what's the D doing?
Yeah.
What is the D doing? At least the Hanifin in that one.
And there was a ton of other scoring chances. 4-1. Now, on one end, I thought Markstrom did make some fine plays. We'll talk about him later. But there were a couple posts. There was a crossbar, a goal post. Swayman did make a few good saves. This was a very good night. As far as Kadri now, 16 goals, 26 helpers. He's up to 42 and 50 as far as points in games.
If I told you Nazem was getting 70 this year,
you'd have signed it in a heartbeat.
Run for the hills. Awesome.
It's amazing, and it's the story. As soon as the kids came in, it rejuvenated him, and it continues. It wasn't for a week. It wasn't for a month. It's been all season. If you only watch this year, I guess you can debate whether the trade, because you got to include the Monahan and the pick that goes the other way. But Kadri's been a hell of a Flame this year. He really has.
Making a $7 million. There's no denying that.
Now, the Pospisil hit, I didn't like it. I just look at that whole sequence. Marchand goes to the net. He's whacking away at the puck, and it wasn't him in the head. To me, this on any other night,
or it's minors coincidental.
You go
That's what I
and
thought it was going to be.
You're going to go to the net. All right. Well, you're going to get whacked if you're going to go after the goalie like that. Turn the other way, and they stood there and looked on these tablets for 3-4 minutes.
They look.
What are we looking for, guys? It's either it is or it isn't. Just let it go. And I went back. Remember the Michael Kesselring shot that Zari took?
Yeah.
He took the cross check, and then another one, and then another one. That was a 2-minute penalty, which I think was far more egregious than this that got 5 in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not hung up on it. It just was.
It could have been a turning point, and credit the Flames, it wasn't, because that was a 3-minute major, essentially. Coincidental, minor, and a major. So 3 minutes of power play time, score as much as you want. And the Flames, really, really important there that they escape that still with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
But I had said, if you reverse those players, if it's Marchand coming to the net, protecting his Vezina goalie from last year in Olmark, or Swayman, who's having a great year just at the All-Star game, that's a 2-minute penalty.
Yeah.
Like, the refs fall victim to this way too much. It's Marchand, a veteran, a cup winner that's, making a scene about things after it. And yeah, it's a rat on rat play. But if I switch the rats, it's a 2-minute play.
And if he's not bleeding, then
he was, but conveniently after all the time to check the tablet, now there's blood there. They didn't have blood when they left the pile. I'm not saying he fabricated it, but in a normal game flow where that isn't reviewed, those are coincidentals.
Maybe he had the blade like in wrestling where you kind of blade
the belt.
He got some color. He got some color there to try and get it worked. It worked for him. But so Pospisil leaves and Jacob Pelche moves up and moves around. I don't know what grade I would give. I thought he was just okay. He didn't really stand out to me. He had a chance there on the one Hanifin break where he moved the puck over to it. Was just out of his reach. It's kind of the one element because I like Pahal. You obviously like Kuzmenko, and there was a lot to like. I didn't see a whole lot from Pelche.
Speed, though, right? Pace. And when you think about a team last year that we called slow so many nights with Lewis and Lucic and Toffoli and just guys that aren't quick, you saw a bit of that, and it's his first game in the NHL in how long? Almost a year. Yeah. So I think there's tools there to like. He had the one good chance in the first period that I believe could have made it 2-0 and it eventually does get to 2-0, but yeah, even when he was on the fourth line, I thought they had a bit of jump. I didn't mind Duer and Rooney there. They obviously shortened things up once Pospisil got punted. Yeah. But there's something there. And I still think he's a middle six guy that could play with pace and be reliable at both ends of the rink. It wasn't the highlighted real performance, but you saw the tools still. You can see what he's good at.
There were a lot of guys who did flash tonight. Mangiapane had a couple of great opportunities. There were a lot of guys that really showed well here tonight. Maybe not so much on Pelche. We're here at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino just down the hall at the Event Center coming up Feb 22. It's Warrant. It's Quiet Riot. Not your wheelhouse.
No, but absolutely your wheelhouse.
Absolutely my wheelhouse. Yes. Warrant and Quiet Riot. What a double bill this is going to be. You can get your tickets, ticketmaster.ca. You got to be 18. If
you're let loose, though. You better be 18.
You better be 18 years of age. Tickets available. Feb 22, one night, two great. And people say, hair metal. Listen, hair metal is not a shot. It's a badge of honor. Look at the hair on these.
Era. Look at that.
Look at the hair. And for some of them, maybe it's falling out. Like some of us, maybe it's a little bit of salt and pepper in there, but it don't matter. These boys can still rock it. So get your tickets. If you've never been to a show at the Event Center, it's a great spot, and I know that it's literal millions of dollars they spent on the sound system and the entertainment system that's next door. So it's going to be a hell of a night. Feb 22. Check out Warrant and Quiet Riot.
And I'll say this: you said, "Oh, not my wheelhouse." Here's the thing about the Grey Eagle Event Center: no matter your wheelhouse, something's coming through in the next couple months.
What about tomorrow? What about the day?
Motivational speaker. It's a comedic act. They had that incredible Christmas trapeze thing going. It's hip hop. It's hair metal. Whatever you want, it's all coming through the Event Center here at the Grey Eagle.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.ca is the website. You'll find the Event Center tab, and you can find out and see what's coming as far as the schedule moving forward. We'll take a quick one here. Coming back, we've got our highlight of the night. See, we're hungry for more, and the road ahead, and your questions. If you've got a question for us, fire it into the chat, whether you're on the Facebook or the YouTubes. We'll get to it before the show is done. We're back in 2 minutes.
We've been telling you about our daily survivor pool at dailyfaceoff.com for Wendy's. Now, SOG, GAA, and PPG can make or break your week, but don't overlook the BPMM. The Wendy's Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt. The BPMM. Sure, it may not help you win your weekly fantasy prizes at dailyfaceoff.com, but unlike your predictions, it never, ever disappoints. BPMM. So try your luck, but don't push it, because the Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt is only back for a limited time. And if you miss it, you're not getting a second chance. So sign up for Daily Face-Off today. It's the Survivor Pool, sponsored by Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Love that. BPMM. There's not much better than hockey season, and yeah, you can always cheer on your favorite team at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino's Stage Bar. You can enjoy the games on the massive big screen TVs they've got hanging above the bar. Friends, drinks, delicious food. Let's go. Visit Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.ca for more information. Now, maybe it's not game time yet, but there's always happy hour in the afternoon. Make the most of your day with great drinks and food at the Stage Bar and Blaze Bar and Grill for the happy hour every day, 2 to 5 at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Great food, specialty drinks, all starting at $5. Visit Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.ca for more information. We'll see you there.
We are out and about tonight at the Grey Eagle. And coming up later this month, we're going to be out and about again. It is going to be game day hosted by Flames Nation and Barn Burner and Afterburner. We're going to throw ourselves in there as well. Over at Greta Bar YYC, it is back. We kicked off this season there as the Jets and Flames. That was a big win. Join the crew. It's our favorite game day watch party squad, Greta Bar YYC, Saturday, February 24th. The next BOA. The doors open at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $10. Now, here's the deal. Are your tickets? What are you talking about? Proceeds are going to support the Closer to Home Community Service department there that they've got at Closer to Home. They were our charity of choice for the Top Shelf Elf Christmas campaign. I have something to share from that, by the way. But yeah, we raised a nice little tidy number for the folks at Closer to Home at Christmas. Looking to do something similar again with game day coming up at Greta. Good food, good prizes, a good cause, a guaranteed good time. It's brought to you by McLeod Law and Village Honda. You can get your tickets at nationgear.ca before they sell out. Limited number. You know, it's
$10 right to charity.
Come on now. And we'd love to see you there. That's coming up on the 24th.
Did you just gloss over an event at the Greta Bar that I will never ever forget and my body may never recover from?
Oh, there was that. Yeah. I'm still, you know what? And it's not Greta's fault. I'm still left that it kind of fell a little flat for me.
You're an ass.
You were sitting there in the dark, just kind of.
Did you see how much pain I had for the last hour?
It really should have been a bigger spectacle, but it's fine. How many nuggets?
43? 42.
42.
42.
42 nuggets. Anyway.
Almost a klapka of nuggets.
Almost a klapka.
That's a metric klapka, 43.
Where is he? Still around?
He's down.
Yeah. So get your tickets, nationgear.ca for that game day party coming up at Greta later on this month. We're here.
That's an Edmonton game, by the way, in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's right. The BOA.
Not losing a night at the Dome. That's the place to be.
4-1 Flames beat the Bruins. The shots were 12-10 after one, and then it took about 15 minutes. The Bruins had 2 shots over the first 15 minutes of the second period. It was a very strong night for the Calgary Flames here. And I don't know if the Bruins were expecting to be point night. That feels like a veteran team that's not going to sit back and say, oh, well, this team is not very good. I just wonder if it was one of those nights. I think that you'll probably see a different Bruins team when these two teams hook up again coming up a little bit later on.
End of the month in Calgary,
But 4-1 the final there. They had one regulation loss in the 12 games leading up to tonight's games. And their home record, this is Boston, 16-4-3. So a very rare regulation home loss at the TD Garden.
Again, sports.
Got to play the games.
Yeah. And so last year's team, they lost 12 in regulation. That's it. This year's team, minus 2 players, tied for first in the league. And yes, it was the Bruins that looked rather ineffective and blah tonight.
We'll take a look at our Betway highlight of the night. There were on this night. Some nights you have to kind of squint and figure out what it's going to be. We had multiple options tonight for the Betway highlight of the night. Get that Betway app. They are the official gaming partner of Barn Burner and Afterburner. You get the Betway app. You bet the responsible way with Betway. Here is, in some ways, the turning point, but also the highlight of the night for Bet, where there's it's 2-0. It becomes 2-1. There's a penalty for Uyghur that puts them in a serious disadvantage.
Well, and that's already penalty killing.
Right.
When Uyghur takes the double minor, it's after the Bruins hit the post.
And it felt like here we go.
Yeah,
You've played 40 great minutes, and it could all go south in a hurry.
So they had 4 minutes and 51 seconds of power play time consecutively. They score on the 5-on-3 that they had for 1:09. It's a 1-goal game, and they've still still got 3:26 of power play time left. So this feels like the Bruins are coming, like, go grab them on the money line now. They got almost 4 minutes of power play time, and they're only down 1 with the Mo. And instead, one of the weirdest penalties you'll see a team take against the Flames all year. Too many men, but not a sloppy change. 6 men skating into the O-zone on the man advantage. And at that point,
it's too many.
Tons of time. Like the final sort of 2 minutes to 1:40 mark of that stretch of nearly 5 minutes of power play time. That's the game.
Yeah.
And at least that allows the Flames at 4-on-4 with the too many men penalty to score that. And that's your backbreaker. If you don't take the penalty, Huberdeau doesn't score 4-on-4. And maybe this is a 2-2 game because they convert, or it's 2-1 and they've still got the momentum. Instead, it's a massive swing. Flames up by 2, and the momentum's right back to the visitor.
And it was just a matter of seconds after the too many men penalty to make it 4-on-4.
Yeah.
And there again, Huberdeau is what even prior to this, he's been playing better over the last month or so. The points have kind of been there.
Yeah.
Tonight he's in. I know you won't want to give him credit.
No, it's been. I have not seen a dominant offensive player at all, but he's picking up some helpers here or there. Tonight, it's like that he's buzzing.
He was invisible for a year, and then finally started putting up some points. Here he's on the forecheck. They cause a turnover. He gets the puck and he shoots it in a hurry. He frustrates you with his lack of desire to shoot. Sometimes he didn't there. It's a great shot, and that restores the 2-goal lead, and that's your Betway highlight of the night.
So let's show it one more time. There's 2 things that happen here that are different than what we've seen for basically 150 games from Jonathan Huberdeau. Number 1, he's engaging in a puck battle to win this. He does not do well on 50-50 pucks in Calgary. I don't know what it was like in Florida. Watch him out-muscle. I believe it's Charlie McAvoy, who is one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Now, this is where Huberdeau typically, after he wins the battle, everyone in the building thinks he's shooting, so he's convinced himself he has to pass. And instead, he's not even looking past. He just leans into this and bleeping rifles it.
It probably helps because he knows there's no one is with him.
There's 2 things that were uncharacteristic of what we've seen this season. A 1-puck battle and then an absolute no hesitation finish. That doesn't look like a guy I've seen much of in these jerseys.
And if he happens to find some sort of a chemistry with Andrei Kuzmenko, then again, which discussion do you want to have? Are you making the playoffs this year, or are you just happy to see a player who you've committed to making an impact? Because there were so many games where you could have healthy scratched him.
Yeah.
And you would not have known the difference. If you were to sit somebody down who's never seen the team before and say, pick out the guy who's making $10 million a year, they'd never do it.
No chance.
So a strong night for him, a couple of points. The goal there is a beauty, and it's the insurance goal, as it turns out. A turning point goal for sure. That's the Betway highlight of the night. Betway, get that Betway app on your phone, your desktop, your tablet, and play along. There's a big game coming up this weekend. You'd be well served to have a little Betway in your life coming up. Bet the responsible way with Betway.
Blue Gatorade, all the momentum right now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I've been following.
All right. Hungry for more for DoorDash. You know we love DoorDash. It's easy. You order it. It comes right to your door when you want, what you want, whenever you want it. And right now, it continues. 25% off deal for you people when you use the promo code NATION25 on your first order of $15 or more, 0 delivery fees. And there it is, NATION25 for that 25% off deal. Hungry for more. I'm guessing this is in a good way based on the tone and tenor of this game tonight. Who or what are you hungry for more of?
Not often do we have to fight over who we liked so much that we want to see repeat performances. Now, yes, it's been a great year for, say, Blake Coleman, Igor Sharangovich, Jacob Markstrom. But tonight, some candidates we haven't heard a lot of. First off, the new guy, Andrei Kuzmenko, or some Kuzmenkov, saying potentially. Boy, that changes your view of the high-end skill on this team. And then both of those things funnel right into the power play, which finished 2 for 4, because all of a sudden that looked dangerous. And you were literally this morning pulling your hair out in agony, bitching about that you had to talk about a shitty power play for another 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I didn't know. I just didn't know what the hell.
No one knew what. No one saw this. Let's.
But what did we say? Hey, Kuzmenko, if you want ice time and you want power play time, take all of it.
Yeah,
take all of it. And if you like scoring goals, you can do that too. And I have a feeling what is happening behind us. Hey, it's a hell of a time here at the Grey Eagle Resort. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's having a good time. I like the debut for Braden Pahal.
Yep.
It was, again, you're kind of Western Canadian kid. He's from Estevan. Not very often would you see somebody who's traded away from a team like Vegas and go somewhere else to a non-playoff team and be excited. But he's going to get a chance to play, and I thought he showed well tonight. He got his nose dirty. He took a penalty and got involved a little bit, took a big hit. But this is when you go to the waiver wire in a spot like where the Flames are, we're on a road trip. The trade deadline's coming. We don't know where we are. We lost one of our guys in D. Simone on the waivers. What's available at that given time? And to find a 24-year-old right-handed guy who's a Western, it's a nice little fit. I liked him tonight in his
Saturday. The more I'm like, man, I think this guy could help this team, because to be fair, to put a Gilbert or an Osterley on their offside on a third pair with Shillington, that's not a fair ask of those guys. Yeah. If they need to play the left side on a third pair, okay, we can squint and see that can maybe work. But Shillington's your left shot defenseman on the third pair. Who's a righty? All of a sudden, all these boxes get checked, and you add the character piece of a Western Canadian captain at his junior team, captain of the Silver Knights and the HL affiliate of the Golden Knights for the last 2 years. Like it seemed like, man, he doesn't even make money. Like he's just probably the 9th best defenseman Vegas has, and that's a tip of the cap to them. But he is not the 9th best defenseman the Flames have. I think he's their 6th best defenseman.
Yeah, and it's not to get ahead of anybody, but the one thing we've also talked about a little bit is the defense cupboard is not stocked that well for the Calgary Flames. There's not a lot of young guys. Here's a chance for 20 some odd games. Test drive this guy. Maybe he's a guy that you can sign at a good he's not making a ton of money.
No.
Get him familiar with the system, with the coaches and all of that, and you keep him around potentially. Here's a nice little buy low. Actually buy, it's a free addition potentially for the team off the waiver wire. So good start.
Second, because AJ Greer was absolutely worth the hilarious amount of money you have to put in to make a claim, like $15K or something. Like, there's some administration fee to make a waiver claim. Yeah, it was worth it. Yeah, AJ Greer, good pro.
Dash that for the win with DoorDash. Again, get that DoorDash app and trigger that deal. Nation 25 will get you 25% off your first order. Do you think Craig Conroy's sleeping well at night these days? The Sharon Govich thing has worked out. We mentioned the waiver wire. This was a high-pressure scenario.
Can you smile while you're sleeping, or do you just stay up?
He does at the best times anyway. Okay. But yeah, it's he's got to be really happy with how it's worked out. Yeah, Lindholm does score, but it's not about that. You wanted to try and turn an expiring asset into something, and so far so good. The reaction and just the hockey world, I think, has been very impressed with year one of Craig Conroy.
I agree, and I think there was a lot of skepticism out of the gate, and I think the whole happy-go-lucky shucks Connie that you see, like, there's a very competitive professional athlete in there that had to fight just to get to the NHL in terms of the roles he had to play on teams. And maybe I can be a checking center. Well, you'll never be more than that. And next thing you know, he's centering Jerome McGinley on a 51-goal season, 52-goal season like this. He's proven people wrong the whole way through here. We shouldn't be surprised. This is interesting. Jerome McGinley is kind of looming in the dark. I believe he'll be a much more prominent fixture around this management team next year when Joe, his youngest, moves up to the major junior ranks. He's already played some as a 15-year-old with the Oil Kings in Edmonton. Tej is draft eligible, looking like a mid to early first-round pick after being sort of slotted as maybe a second-round guy before the year. His kids are coming. They're pros. His daughter's already launched playing on the national team. You're going to get competitive as hell Jerome McGinley and his old debating partner, Craig Conroy, at the helm here. I think that's an awesome mix. Two guys that, I think Connie had said it, like the fire still burns. This isn't the Oilers Red Wine Club where they reminisce about all their cups and tell how they did things. Like, no, these guys still want to win.
It's always good. He always finds a way to get it in there. It's good. Yeah, I do think there's plenty of dialogue between Craig and Jerome, and to see the Flames coveting skill, not size, not brute force, not to say anything, but I said it to you while we were watching the game. It's not about Schlittich. I just wonder, is Kuzmenko a guy that would have been not the centerpiece, but would he have been a coveted piece coming back in the past, a smaller Russian forward? I don't know.
Skill guy.
Because it is different to see a smaller Russian guy on wearing a Flames jersey.
So I saw this. I think Mike Gold had noted it on FlamesNation.com. He's the first Russian forward for the Flames in 20 years. What?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that can't be right. Like, no. And there's been plenty of Russian defensemen, and even I think probably kicking tires on some Russian goalies in the system that may or may not have ever got up. But legitimately, since Oleg Saprykin.
Is that right?
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And, there used to be a ton. You had Sergei Makarov, German Titov, Valerie Bure. Like, how is that possible? And it feels like, okay, there's a lot of coincidence and weird things in there, but I was like, that has to be wrong. And, of course, it wasn't. Wild. 20 years.
So there you go. That's your DoorDash. You're hungry for more. Just hungry for more skill, more youth, and more of what we saw tonight.
More power play.
Valentine's Day, just days away. Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated since 1972. More than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks. That's not going to get it done for Valentine's Day, but that's fine. You got to shop off the rack at Charm. You're going to be in good hands. You're going to be just fine. Unbeatable pricing policy. And yes, Valentine's Day, check out a large selection of lab-grown diamonds, mined diamonds, and don't pay until 2025 with their instant in-store financing OAC. For more info, go to charmdiamondcenters.com, charmdiamondcenters.com.
It's sneaky. I mean, I feel like, men helping men. That's a thing we're not really good at. We want to be macho. This is men helping men. Valentine's Day, very close. I'm talking 8 days. That's a horrifying number.
Yeah, it's really, guys,
like, horrifying.
Really close.
Really, really close.
So, yeah, it's February.
I know it's coming. Yeah. It's like around Super Bowl, kind of.
Fellas.
It's quick here. 8 days.
Pay attention. Quick break here. We'll come back, take a look at the road ahead. This is a road trip that has just gotten underway for the Calgary Flames. So far, so good as well. We'll take a look at some questions and just, I guess, final thoughts on what we saw here tonight. A 4-1 Flames win at the TD Garden against, coming into the night, the tied for top spot in the NHL, Boston Bruins. Coming right back. 2 minutes.
Are you thinking of buying or selling your home in the Calgary area? Well, there's one guy you've got to talk to. That's my pal, Derek Newman. Derek, born and raised in Calgary, volunteer, a pillar of the community, huge sports fan, hurls, golfs, all kinds of sports, not to mention, yes, he loves, indeed, the Calgary Flames. So if you want to talk real estate in your community or you just want to chat about the Flames and what's going on in the sports world, you can give Derek a call. Incredibly friendly and approachable, but more importantly, trustworthy and incredibly hardworking. Take advantage of their complimentary in-house home staging consultation. Also, whether it's your first time or you're a seasoned buyer or seller of homes, he's going to understand what you're looking for and help you meet your goals. Also, Derek's network, substantial. He's able to find some homes that aren't even on the market yet. So whether you're buying or selling, or you just want to see what's going on with the value of your place, give him a call or a text. He's going to get back to you right away. Derek Newman of Newman Deans Real Estate with CIR Realty. Let Derek put his network to work for you. Call or text Derek right now at 403-619-6661 or email him at dnewman@cirrealty.ca.
Greta, it's our home away from home for Afterburner. We'll be there for live watch parties throughout the season. Should be your spot regardless. Before, during, and after the game, grab a cocktail, something from the menu, let the games begin, or maybe you get into the game yourself. Over 50 arcade games from vintage to state-of-the-art. Load up some credits on that Greta game card of yours and get at it. Greta Calgary, located at 213 10th Avenue Southwest. Check them out online, gretabar.com. We are well into the winter months now, and you can feel it, can't you? That urge to get away. Maybe some beach time to warm up those bones of yours. Maybe a hockey, sports kind of road trip. Well, when you pack your bags, make sure you don't forget Alberta Blue Cross. There's only one thing better than sharing memories, and that's making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross travel insurance protects your memories and more, wherever travel takes you. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. Alberta Blue Cross, celebrating life's memorable moments inspired by hockey. Coming up at the end of the month, it is the 29th of February, which again, it's one of those things.
Are you sure? Because I've been told February.
Yeah, I know. We'll Google it.
Okay.
Feb 29, it is the Barn Burner Bowl-orama over at Splitsville, formerly Let's Bowl. Great little spot, 2916 Fifth Avenue Northeast. It is the Barn Burner Bowl-orama presented by McLeod Law in support of kids sport. We be bowling. It's a Warner classic. It's a Warner favorite. And we haven't done it it's a long time. But it was one of the best events that we held. When we were at the radio station. Looking forward to doing it again. Now, nationgear.ca is the website where you can go and get your team. A limited number, obviously, with the venue being what it is. We're going to get you rolling out there. Teams of 4. We've got celebrities coming. We've got food. Oodle Noodle is on board. Going to be serving up some great noodle boxes there for you. Our friends at Origin Brewing going to have some beverages for some folks there as well. More coming every single day. The spots are going. There's not steady, not swiftly, but don't
sleep.
Dilly dally is what I would say, because dilly dallying could have you disappointed, and we don't want that. Nationgear.ca, get on board for the Barn Burner Bowl-orama coming up at the end of the month, February 29th.
Excited to start announcing some of our celebrity guests. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Is it rubbing elbows, bumping shoulders?
There's shoulders and elbows, and I don't know.
Nothing dirty, no penalties.
No canoodling or anything like that.
No.
Nothing like that. Let's take a look at the road ahead now for the Flames. Yes, they are on the road. They will get on a plane. It'll be a short flight, that Eastern travel.
It's probably their last flight until they come home.
Yeah, as you had said today, if you're in...
So one hotel trip the rest of the way, probably. They usually set up shop somewhere in Manhattan, and then it's going to be bing, bang, bong, the New York teams.
Bing, bang, bong. That's how that goes.
Bing, bing, bing.
The road ahead for Village Honda, the 2024 Honda Accord, redesigned last year, chosen by Car and Driver magazine as the #1 mid-sized sedan. It's one of the most reliable vehicles on the road, and it's now even better than ever. Superior ride quality, reliability, and impressive fuel economy thanks to the EXL Hybrid. It's all at Village Honda, your dealership for life in the Northwest Auto Mall, as we take a look at the road ahead.
Thursday, Tyler Toffoli, Igor Sharangovich. Aidar Suniev may or may not be watching. I don't know. It is the revenge game, as the Devils have been probably a little bit underwhelming given the expectations coming into the season. They'll be the first of 3 games for the Flames in the New York area. That's followed by a Saturday matinee, 11 a.m. on Long Island. That's Patrick Waugh, the new head coach of the Islanders. Interesting there as they continue to try to get into the dance with an older goalie first group. And then they'll close the New York swing in the 4-game road trip that started in Boston tonight with a Monday date on Broadway, 5 p.m. against the New York Rangers. That's the 4 games. They've got 2 points out of a possible 2 so far. And curious to see how the rest of it unfolds. There'll be a lot of talk about Toffoli, who just had a hat trick right before All-Star break, and Igor Sharangovich, who I think cemented himself as a top 6 forward in the NHL and maybe making a bit of a bid to be a center in the NHL after the early returns tonight. Did play some center on the 4th line earlier this year, but with Huberdeau and Kuzmenko, that's not insignificant that he's centering a line there. They will come home after that 4-game homestand and play the Sharks, first of the year against the Sharks, who've had a miserable campaign. So that's your next home game. That's your road ahead for Village Honda.
There you go, Village Honda. If it's pre-owned, you're after. All makes, all models, all budgets. Over 70 units on site, 400 more inside the dealership group. It's why Village Honda is and should be your one-stop automotive destination in Calgary. They're worth the trip. VillageHonda.com. I see you've got not whether it's up to date or not, but you mentioned New Jersey. Where is New Jersey in this mix?
Well, I mean, if you search for the wild card, they're kind of in bubble territory here.
Yeah.
They've had miserable goaltending. Dougie Hamilton's missed significant time and is still out for a while.
He is.
They're on the outside looking in. They're currently 5 back with 2 games in hand on the Wings.
Yeah,
and
that's
the Wings
not
are one of those teams where I'm looking and I'm like, how long are you still going to be in this? And I also look up and I see Philly in the same division. How long are you going to be in this? Jersey's not dead, but they're in that spot where it's the deadline's in how many days now? We're talking a month and 2 days, a month and 3 days. You need to find ways to help this group that everyone thought could win that division. Remember, they were down 2-0 and beat the Rangers last year. That was a huge series, and people thought, okay, they're over the hump now. Well, they're on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, that is not where any of us thought the Devils would
God,
be.
no.
And there's time. You wonder what their, not even marching orders, but what can you get done at or before the deadline if you're New Jersey? It would feel like goaltending.
Got to be goalie.
It's been.
I'm looking. Their
Nico
goals
Dawes.
for are right with the best teams in the league. Their goals against, nobody in a playoff spot looks anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just too much. They've allowed almost 20 more goals than the Flames.
We'll get to some questions here before we wrap things up. 4-1 Flames win over Boston. And it was, you brought it up early in the show, and I had written it down kind of as I was watching in the first period, and I heard Rick and Kelly talking about it. Just one of the takeaways for tonight, and again, we can overreact, and maybe it doesn't hold out for any amount of time. But you mentioned Toffoli. You go from Toffoli to Sharangovich, and now you inject Kuzmenko. That friggin' Warner
Brett is killing us, man.
Friggin' kill him.
This is like lightning.
Whatever it is. So is just the difference in speed. We've spent a lot of time here over the last 2 or 3 years watching a team. The fourth line would be slow and plodding, and there were some Toffoli, great goal scorer, but there's not a lot of speed. To watch them go up and down the ice tonight with guys like Kuzmenko and Zary, and even Huberdeau looked somewhat reinvigorated. And we've seen Kadri, he has looked fine. It just looked like, and it looks like in a very short amount of time, that this is a team that you wouldn't label as a slow hockey team anymore.
Pospisil can fly, Pelche can move, and he's just getting his sort of game feet back underneath him after nearly a year away. Zary's not slow. Shillington's been added into this mix.
I saw it, I give credit where it's due. Walker Duehr, I thought he was flying around tonight.
Fourth line was good tonight.
So this
is a team that now plays with pace. And it's not just how fast you are, but are you moving pucks? Are you sitting behind the net, holding it, doing a line change? Like, they kept pressure on the Bruins by consistently playing with pace. It was really impressive that it didn't just taper off after 10, 12 minutes. Most of the night, they won races to pucks.
And you look at the opening goal is off the rush. Hannafin starts in his own zone, goes the length of the ice and tucks it in. Is great goal? No, probably not. But it was a departure. And you hope, if you're an observer, if you're a Flames fan, that this is something that is not just a flash. This is something that
they're a better skating team. They absolutely
are.
It is. No, they've lost some other things. I do think long-term centers are hard to find. You need good centers. I don't think Igor Sharangovich is going to retire a center. This is a bit of a duct tape over this until we can find the right tool at the hardware store. So, they're not a perfect roster by any stretch. And Craig said exactly that on Friday when he joined the show. I haven't given Huska all the right puzzle pieces, but he's given them something they haven't had in a long time. A right shot winger that can score. Not since Jerome has there been anyone on the right side score 39. That's a right shot guy, or even a left shot guy. Kuzmenko is a very, very different dynamic. And you look at what Sharangovich has blossomed into. Those are the right types of players to put around what should be your best passer.
It's a very different feel.
Yeah,
it for sure is.
Totally. And younger too at the same time, right? All those kids graduate.
And what Matt Coronado is going to have a seat at that table coming up too.
All-Star game yesterday. Yep. He's busy, but I would suggest that if Rooney looks good and Cole Schwint, one of those guys has a job. And we'll see if there's any supplementary anything. I don't think the possible
I don't either.
That bad at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you need a top 9 winger, Matt Coronado's in there like that.
There you go. And we talked about it before, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago. Imagine if you came back from the All-Star break, and if Oliver Shillington was in a spot where he could play, and he would have played tonight, where he gets out of the way and the Bruins are to do each other. He's so fun to watch. He's so dynamic.
Pace.
So you get Pospisil and you get Zary and you get. Here it is. Look at this. Beautiful. Yep. That's a lot harder than he just made it look.
Yeah.
That's 2 NHL bodies coming to crush you, and they run into each other. Between Shillington and then Pelche is in, get Coronado in. I don't think we thought anything about Kuzmenko at the time, But man, it has changed.
Zary and Pospisil feel like found money to some extent. Who was talking about them in August, September, October?
Yeah.
You just weren't.
We'll take a look at some questions. We'll wrap things up for the evening with some burning questions. Jack's been
just yelling at us.
Gathering
guys,
their screaming
questions.
Guys, get at it.
Guys.
Okay. Is it a first game bounce back with Kuzi, or was Lindholm the problem with Huberdeau?
Problem's probably strong. They didn't fit together.
They did not fit.
And I don't know that Lindholm was the problem and Huberdeau was perfect because he didn't fit anywhere else, frankly, the last 140 games or whatever it is. But Lindholm looks like he's in a great spot. Kuzmenko looks like he's in a great spot. There are win-win trades.
And you're going to want more of a body of work for sure between Huberdeau and Kuzmenko. But it sure seemed like it flashed. It would be easy to watch this game and feel like you saw more snappy plays, chemistry-like plays than what you saw before. And there just was something weird, and I don't know what it was. They started with Darryl last year. They started together, and then it went away, and it never returned, and then we saw it again, and there was never any reason to keep them together. If they were together, it was because you had other combos working too well to break them up.
100% that. Yeah, they didn't want to break up the Kadri Pospisil Zary line, and when you put Mangiapane back with Backlund and Coleman, you got that line back, and Mangiapane started looking like himself. So it was like, I'm sorry, you guys are going to have to play together. It wasn't because they worked well together. They didn't.
Yeah.
And look, Lindholm scores 2 tonight. Where did he score him? How did he score him? He's right on the top of the crease, deflecting, screening, getting a piece of the puck. He is the plumber on a skill line. And I don't know that Huberdeau and a plumber think the game the same way. I think Huberdeau...
Plumber's a bit hard.
But on a skill line, right?
I know.
Like 40 goals.
He's got the work boots. He's the
dig the puck out of the corner and make the smart plays, but it's never like he's thinking 2 passes ahead like some of these incredible vision elite guys are. And it does feel like a shot. It's not. I think Lindholm's a great player.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome pickup for the Canucks. And like it's just the slotting for both of these players works so well. Lindholm is being asked to be a second line center. He can crush that. Kuzmenko is not asked to be playing a bottom 6 role for Rick Tocchet. He couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what he's asked to be doing here? Be a top line winger that shoots the S out of the puck all night. He can do that. And they're both better fits right now.
I'm curious if you were to talk to Canuck fans or people that have watched Kuzmenko, it can't all be right. There's got to be some drawbacks to his game. And tonight everything is great because you see him score early and it's fun and it's exciting because it's fresh. What are you going to see on nights where he disappoints you? Or is it going to be effort level? Is it going to be commitment to defense? What is it going to be that will maybe have you not as enamored with him?
Well, and look, the D zone was fine tonight for that line. There's going to be nights where it's not. It's just too much of all their track records. They're elite offensive players. They're not great in their own zone, but that describes a lot of superstars.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sedins were heavily sheltered great in the ozone line that you didn't want against other teams' top lines in their own end. That's not a knock. They're bleeping Hall of Famers. This is 3 very, very, very high IQ offensive players.
There you go. If Kuzi lights it up for the next month, do we deal him?
I don't know that I'd be hustling, but I mean, are there any untouchables for Craig Conroy?
No, and he said that when we had him on Barnburner last week. We're not in a spot to be taking anybody off the trade market. It seems that feels a little bit unlikely.
We just said
but
it's been how many decades since they had a legit.
But at the same time, at the same time, if you're selling. What is there, 13 games, 12 games in that range between now and the 8th of March?
Sure.
If this guy wants to go on a scoring binge and some GM says, yeah, this is a guy that I could use for...
Eat half, move him along.
It's not unreasonable.
Well, here's one. Like, what if the Avalanche are like, shit, like Landeskog's not going to be ready, we don't think. Bo Byram in a first. Like, you have to listen.
Well, yeah,
right?
if there's something
And again, we're spitballing. You don't know what he's going to look like for the next, 32 days or whatever it is, 31 days. You don't know what is going to be covered on the market or not. But the point that I think what Craig's accomplished here, he's got a player in a spot to succeed. Whether he does or not, he can't control. So either way, you have a really, really valuable asset that you can trade, that you can re-up and sort of build around as a potential sort of pillar in the club, as a goal scorer, the type of which they haven't had in a long time. Or you're saying, look, like he's only got a year left anyway. Okay, let's see what we can do with 50 games of Kuzmenko, and maybe at next year's deadline, you get another deal that doesn't look dissimilar from the one you got for Lindholm.
It would be
It's
hard.
a unique skill set.
If he does go on if he has a nice month, it would be hard not to start to, because chances are if he's scoring, then somebody's feeding him and getting points as well. And then you start to dream into next year and beyond and think, are we going to give this up?
Well, and a great point here by Steve. If Kuznetsov lights it up with Huberdeau and all of a sudden Huberdeau's looking good, you all of a sudden have many more reasons. You got 10.5 million more reasons to keep him around. And I'm not saying it's likely that they do it, but the point is more that at this phase of their life cycle, everything is a conversation you take, because you're just not good enough to say no to someone calling to offer you assets.
Yeah.
You can listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't actually given that a lot of thought, but I guess anything is out there. Anything is possible. Anything's possible. Hey, Boomer, what do you think Connie should be focusing on next? Should he be risking Tanev getting injured before he gets to trade him?
Shit, we said in November trade him. You can't risk it. He's taken on a lot of risk getting this far. I would put that front burner right now.
I've been nervous, Nelly.
Yes.
The thing of it is, what if a contending team, what if Brandon Carlo goes down in Boston, or what if you have one of those injuries? You're talking about a second. Is a second going to get it done? What if some team says, you know what, to hell with it. We're going to do what Vancouver does. We're just going to beat the market here with a offer they can't turn down. What if there's a first rounder? It's not crazy to think, because there have been this style of D-man who have been dealt for a first, but you do run the risk for sure of him getting injured. But you're not going to not play him. You're not going to trade him now and take less than what you think you want for him. I'm sure Craig has that kind of breaking that price where we've got what we want. You take it.
I think what you described is a perfect storm for the Calgary Flames. You'd love a contender to lose an important defenseman so that it can expedite things. You're going to get a lot, I believe, for Tanev. I've always believed it. If you watch Chris Tanev play hockey, it yells playoffs. It's just the way he plays. Now, could he get hurt along the way? Yeah, for sure he could. May he not be available if you get to a cup final because he's broken, many bones in his body. Very possible. But the way he plays is the type of player that every single team cannot get enough of.
And I know just in talking to some people with the team that this is the guy that they're getting the most action on.
I believe it.
Maybe it's because it's the lower of the price. You weren't going to get Lindholm or Hanifin conceivably for a second round.
He's a rental. I mean, he's just a pure rental. I think the Hanifin thing, you think about re-signing him.
Maybe, yeah.
But like you know exactly what he is, and you know that for 3 months, this guy will give you every ounce and will play with zero regard for the health of his body. I mean, you can't ask for more sacrifice from a player than what Chris Tanev has given the two teams he's played for. He is a perfect playoff player, and he fits everywhere. He's a right shot guy that can defend. He fits everywhere.
And in fairness, he has not missed a lot of time as a Flame, and you knock on wood if you're Conroy or a Flames fan that it's not going to happen. He's been very durable, whatever you want to call it. He's been a healthy Calgary Flame. And any team that is looking to trade players between now and the deadline, they're running the same risk of their players getting injured.
Yeah.
So
I will say this. I mean, the games played in the regular season are impeccable. The Calgary Flames miss Chris Tanev more than anyone gives credit in that series against the Oilers. He's playing with essentially one arm. They missed him for multiple games. That was a massive piece that was not available. He's been as healthy as he's been over a 4-year stretch. It's one of the greatest free agent signings the club's made in the last decade or longer. Yeah. It was just the most important moment of the last decade that he wasn't available. A second-round series against the Edmonton Oilers, and he still came out and played through a lot of pain and injury. He's remarkable. Yeah. I think he's going to get a haul. Really do.
Did you knock on wood when I said knock on wood? You knock on wood.
Is this wood or is this fake wood? What am I doing here? Quick, give me some wood.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
If all
I am
goalies,
Super Dave 100. I just want to
Super Dave checking in. If all three goalies are still with the team after the deadline and the playoffs are iffy, who do you play? That is something that sort of slid to the back burner. But again, yesterday, Dustin Wolf backstopped his division to a second consecutive AHL All-Star Game title, and he's been the goalie of that league, the goalie of the year 2 years in a row, and was the league's MVP last year. I know there's a lot of talk about the 2D, but that is still festering a bit. I don't think there's any issue yet, but the if that Super Dave throws here, not ideal.
So what? Yeah, I mean, it's
Goalies.
not
I'd
ideal,
love to
but
have 2 goalies if you're anyone. Yeah. We'll see.
And at the same time, for Wolf wants to play. You're past the halfway mark. You can conceivably have the conversation and say, listen, this is something that gets done in the off season. We thought this would take care of itself. It hasn't. Keep playing. You be a good soldier. Like,
I'm with you.
What are you going to do? Are you going to?
Guess what the conversation was a year ago?
But are you going to lose a trade?
It's a deal for the off season. We'll get it done this off season. That's probably what he was told.
It's not.
Vladar was on the block all summer. It just didn't happen.
I get it, but he's not the first player who's been ready for prime time that has had to sit and wait his turn. And it's tough when you're in net because there's 2 of them on each team.
Yeah, the Wings built a dynasty on it. They overcooked the hell out of all their prospects. Doesn't mean it's easy for him, but it is interesting. It's
the 50-game mark. I don't know what could you conceivably, if you get past the deadline and there is no trade for a goalie, and I think it's way easier to trade Markstrom than it is Vladar, but where Markstrom
does feel like June deals.
I don't know if it's a conditioning stint or Markstrom sits down for a little bit and then you bring Wolf up on an emergency basis and let him play for a stretch of games.
I need to. Yeah, you're under the cap.
Right. He's going to
run with 3. Shit.
He's going to play at some point, but I can understand there'd be some frustration. Yeah, for sure.
And if you had just stacked up the resume and then said, okay, he's this many years old, guess how many NHL games? You wouldn't guess 5. So I think they'll make a concerted effort to give him stuff.
How old is he? Right? It's
he was a 7th rounder.
I just feel like it's different for goalies.
Well, I mean,
it's a tough position.
Kind of, but Spencer Knight was in the league 4 years ago.
And shouldn't have
been.
That's
his draft class. No,
shouldn't have been.
But I don't think the Flames have done anything wrong. I don't. And I also think that there could be cause for frustration in Dustin Wolf's camp. And I also think the Flames are trying to alleviate the situation. But to your point, you don't just make a deal to make a deal. It's got to make sense. And we haven't seen Vladar for a bit, but remember back to the Edmonton game. Very good. Even the Toronto game, fell behind, battled his ass off, made some huge saves. If he wants to string a few more of those together before March 8th, wouldn't mind that.
It's a hard, we've had this conversation, but he's got another year at $2.2 million. The likelihood that there's a team that has room for him in the cap and is definitely bound for the playoffs and has the need for that type of player, it's pretty slim. I would think that all of those boxes get checked.
Maybe it's not a playoff team. Maybe it's a team looking to find another young goalie in a platoon. And look, they've moved Lindholm without retention. They've moved Zadorov without retention. You've got 2D left. I didn't think this club would be in a spot to make a Vladar deal and retain money. But all of a sudden, okay, if you can move Tanev without or Hannafin without, maybe you can use one of those slots. You can only have 3 guys you retain salary on. But if that helps you get a return that you like and it opens up room for Wolf, maybe you justify it. I don't know.
It's another year, right?
Yeah,
you got
it's 1 more year, and let's say you make him a $1.1 million player. I think you can move him at 1.1.
Wolf is the guy, though, when we start talking, we start rolling out all these names of the young players that you're excited about. We forget about Wolf almost,
we haven't seen
when in fact he might be
the
most integral out of that whole group of youngsters for sure. So
Noah Hannafin, by the way, tonight we talk about trade chips. 25-46 of ice time to lead all skaters tonight. Showcased maybe playing a lot because he's good and plays in all situations. That too, penalty kill, at home scores.
First game for Pahal.
Nice little debut. Nice little showcase game for the most eligible young defenseman available in trade.
Not a point, no.
He's fine. He's doing the contract year thing.
He is.
So
he got the memo.
Didn't do it.
Yeah.
He and Sam Reinhart, they got the memo.
They've got it all figured out. Sorry there, Jack. We had the Zary has to be in the Calder convo, does he not?
Yeah, it's Bedard. How healthy is he going to be? And if it's enough, it's his. And if it's not, it becomes a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, there are
no
some
one else
others.
Really grabbed it. Carlson, Fantilli, others.
Leo's hurt. right? It's
there is not a clear cut best of the rest that I can think of.
He might be, right? He might
He's
be.
in that group, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's had a fine season, but it's another one of those things is how closely are people paying attention? It's not, and he's a few years older than some of the guys who have just come in. Obviously, Fantilli's in.
Don't care, but yeah.
I know.
I mean, I'll see what the odds are, but he's got to be in that pack of non-Bedard guys. Betway's got it. If you want to,
we'll check the bet. Yeah,
Betway.
I'll answer another question while you do
cool.
that. Yeah, if we have one. Will the Hanifin trade package bill be even bigger than Lindholm's? I can't imagine.
I'll give you
if there's more players involved, conceivably, but it's the Lindholm deal is a $5 million forward and a first. It's a massive.
Let me tell you how
trade.
Sign and trade. That's the only way I see it.
Yeah.
You're signing up for 8 years of a 2-3 defenseman.
Yeah, it's.
But if it's a rental, I don't think you can.
Not on a rental, and the Lindholm deal is.
It's a lot of assets.
It may go down as not looking as sexy or have everyone as excited as they are right now, but given what you had at that given time, this is a hell of piece of work by Conroy. And I don't know. The more you watch Hanifin, I wonder just how enticed Craig Conroy is to try and get back to the negotiation table with Hanifin and his people.
And maybe he's been there waiting and ready all year. The question just might be, is Noah Hanifin looking around saying, you know what, maybe this isn't 5 years of hell.
Yeah. I think it is in his court. I don't think that Craig would have to be wooed too hard.
Yeah.
If they wanted to re-engage in contract, and who knows, maybe they are. I know that's Craig is with the team right now. He's on this road trip. He wants to be around the guys and have conversations to know exactly where he's at as these offers come in. Like we said, there was a whack of scouts at this game tonight. So it'll be a wild month for Craig. His first trade deadline as an NHL GM.
It's done well.
It's done very well.
And honestly, it was tough because you want everything right away, and everyone was counting on more picks in that incredible draft class last summer in Nashville. And it's full. He's got to be worth the first. Maybe he was. Maybe as a GM, people are just going to lob bad deals at you until you prove that you won't take them.
And they weren't the type.
Timing wasn't right.
They weren't the type of player that teams felt like we have to have this guy. This is a franchise-altering player for us. Hanifin, good player, not going to change the fate of your franchise. Tanev, you know what he is, and with Elias Lindholm, and I wonder too. You look at it. Part of that deal that we really never talked about was the salary that Lindholm has. Kuzmenko.
It's right. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I hate him so much.
I know you do. Everyone knows.
I hate him so much.
Not hiding it well. How much you hate him.
I hate him. Kuzmenko makes more money than Lindholm.
Oh my god!
Right? It's amazing. Would not have guessed that they would be taking on.
It was a 5.5 to 4.9 or something like that. Yeah. By the way,
stop doing the show.
No. You need to keep doing the show.
I don't want to do the show.
Too good to stop.
It's not.
Bedard's still your heavy favorite. Not even money, and the pack behind him includes Luke Hughes, Brock Faber, Adam Fantilli, Marco Rossi, and Connor Zary. Logan Cooley's in there. Leo Carlson is hurt, and now the odds are going the wrong way. That's sort of the group. So after Bedard, I just see a lump of guys. Faber's probably the guy that's going to be. He's eaten some big minutes in Minnesota, and has been there all year.
Not a sexy Calder.
No, not at all. No,
but he's had a hell of a year.
Yeah, for sure. Who was the defenseman in St. Louis that won it? Was it
Barrett Jackman?
Yeah, that type of a better than that.
Better than that,
but not like he's a star. I was like, no, he just was really serviceable.
And that was probably a year where there weren't
not a great year.
The other
and still, like if Bedard's back in 3 weeks, he's winning this thing.
Is that what his timetable is? Get back, son.
It's 6 to 8. He's already skating, and he said at the All-Star game, I want to play. They won't let me. Like the jaw's better.
Yeah.
They're clearly bubble wrapping this kid because it helps the lottery odds and don't risk anything.
Are they stunting his growth? I don't think so.
Jeez,
he'll be all right.
Champing at the bit is what he's doing.
Good work with the champion.
Thank you.
Are we done?
We could be
Is there
done.
more questions? I don't think there's more questions.
Now, are you ready for
Oh.
another trip? I got one thing to say. Oh, okay.
Do you think Conroy will flip the draft picks from Vancouver? Future trades this year for roster players doing a retool versus a rebuild.
They have 2 picks. Maybe you see them flip the conditional pick. I don't see them moving that first at all.
Well, they have 2 firsts, their own, right?
I just mean he says the Vancouver pick. So they have 1 first from Vancouver, and they have a conditional 4th that can be a 3rd. I don't see him flipping the first at all, and he's going to keep his own. Maybe if you, after dealing 2 other guys, you have an abundance of 3rd rounders, okay, sure. But I don't really see him turning picks into players for this year. If it's someone with term or a young centerman, maybe, but
Because we saw it last year, right? With Vancouver. They got a first-round pick. They didn't hang on to it. They
flipped it for Hronek.
flipped it in a hurry.
He now needs money, a lot of it.
Yeah. So hard to say. It does feel like
It's a long shot. Of
the path seems to be becoming a lot clearer for what this team's future needs to be and should be and is going to be. And it wouldn't be giving away a first-round pick right now for a player who's of beyond a certain age. I guess there'd have to be some sort of a limit, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you just watch tonight's game, go swap a first and get another. No, there's a bigger picture here.
Yeah.
They look great tonight, and that's awesome. That does not mean that this team is playoff bound. That does not mean they're going to be the best of 6 or some odd teams that are fighting for 1 wild card in the West, as long as LA stops dropping like a stone off a cliff. It's a great night. A lot of good things. That does not mean this thing is done. This does not mean they're a piece away from the playoffs, Dean.
So I was thinking that's where we're at.
You
Did you see that goal though? What a release!
Really can shoot it.
Shooter, great shooter.
Are you ready for another road trip or what? Because I know we were
What do we want? What
Phoenix, 10 days into
No,
January.
I'm exhausted. It's got to be enough, right?
And you did a lot of social media out there. You must have been exhausted.
We're just in Toronto.
Toronto was a lot.
We're out again tonight.
Because you tucked her in at a reasonable hour, and that despicable human Casey from Greta forced me to stay up late and socialize with people. I've got a road trip that he wised me up to. Greta in Toronto is set to open for the Angels in Toronto. Shohei Comes to Toronto series.
Really? So Shohei,
I don't know if that's if you like the Blue Jays or hate the Blue Jays. Either way, it works. Or if you just like Shohei. But you could do the Shohei Greta double up in the T dot in, I think, April, May. There.
I don't mind that.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, that's far enough out. I can, and the best part will be the Jays fans will be so upset and still sour.
It felt so close and yet was not even.
Yeah, it was not really close. It felt very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, he did go to their training facility, which at the end of the day didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And then if you want something closer to home, the Battle of Alberta at the end of the month, we will be at Greta, as you noted. $10 for tickets goes to charity. And you as Flames fans can either bask in a inverse standings helping loss or just a bump in the road for the turds up the road that bailed their way into the greatest player we'll watch in our lives.
Yeah,
it's really
or
up to you. You can do what you want.
Or you can poke your head in, see what the score of the game is, and then just go back and play your arcade
I'll
games.
be at Buck Hunt.
Yeah, I'm going to be
I'm done
shooting hoops out here, having a few drinks. Let me know how it goes.
That's right.
No, if you haven't done the Greta experience yet, then you are missing out. That's awesome. I know they got big plans for that one in Toronto.
It's gonna be
the one in
huge. King
Edmonton
West,
is going great. So get some Greta in your life for sure.
Vancouver too. Lindholm doesn't have to go Greta free.
Sorry Casey did that to you.
Yeah.
It's really unlike you to go out
twistingrubberarms.com.
get into it. Yeah. Attaboy, Casey. Well done. So that's probably going to do it. Flames
Thank you,
with
fellas.
a convincing 4-1 win, game one of a 4-game road trip that they kick off in style. Kuzmenko looks good.
Kuzmenko anytime goal. Could you
could
pound of that?
Yeah,
let's
sure. Why not?
Rolling.
Because of course we make all those bets that we put on the show. Always. We're not just doing them for the show. We live and die.
Are you yacht shopping online? Is it like I am? Super yacht?
Yeah,
Not quite.
I'm more into the
After
speedboat.
Speedboat.
Yeah. Pontoon, speedboat, yacht. We'll get there. Football
Baby
game
steps.
this weekend. Again, if you have not been by the Grey Eagle in a while, you owe it to yourself. They got the stage bar. Games are on every night. The game will be on this weekend.
Blaze Restaurant as well.
Mhm.
You got
And
extra capacity there. And then, of course, the event center as well.
Down the
Always
hall.
something going on.
Go check it out. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.ca for both events. You can do some winning here. Of course, there's a casino. I don't know if just over our shoulder.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's it.
There's always something you can do some winning. Double down, split the eights, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Or definitely go and check out the event center for the schedule there, as Sheldon's
Got a
always
hotel
got.
here too. Really nice hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you
Hey,
want
you know what? Valentine's Day, maybe a little dinner, maybe a little feeling the felt, play some craps, have a nice meal, go see a show
And then
down the hall for some
hotel wrestling.
That's what I was going to say.
Good night, Dean.
That'll do it. See ya, buddies.